All right. See if anyone shows up today. I did not have an announcement during the week. Got caught up with a lot of different strange things. So figured I'd get out here, start a live chat. No topics, no nothing. Just out of the blue. And we got somebody showed up. Kind of got caught up in things during the week and did not make that video more or less where I'd announced the time, day. Uh, but I believe Sunday at 10 o'clock may just be where I go. Whenever I'm going to do a live chat, it's good for me. Um, I know some people go to church, so they can't participate in the chat that much. Let me see something here. I'll be back in a minute. Just a damn shadow on the screen. All right, so nothing in particular. So I do a live chat for all you subscribers that get used to it. And like I said, just nothing there, but again, strange times. Things are starting to get crazy once again. Uh, with all these campus protests and campouts and arrests and everything, we're back to the Vietnam era uh, with rioting again and student unrest, protesting and everything, and it's a very bad situation. A lot of things I would like to talk about these things, but because the censorship on YouTube is so bad, okay, and the one-sided censorship of this whole country, and the people who control the media all the way together, and the people who run this place, is very, very bad. That you can't speak out, okay, or get the word out. I've seen some things also broadcast from Russia about conflicts and all this other stuff. And, what the hell did one guy say? We're like in limbo. We're in this weird state with everything, with the economy, with society, with politics. Um, it's some strange thing where everyone's like waiting for the stock market to crash, the economy to collapse. Uh, you know, all these people, you know, with immigrations and that, more. And if you watch any of a lot of these conspiracy theory channels that are on Rumble, it's a lot worse than any of us think. Okay, Mag Company, good morning. Sean, good morning. Yeah, I'm hanging in there. It's just it is difficult, and it is like the one guy put on, and it was on a channel about investing in silver and gold. The guy said, not only do I sell coins in a coin shop, but he goes, I also buy jewelry or any other valuable things, antiques or whatever. And he goes, people do come to my shop when they're desperate for money. And I guess in this very long-winded thing, he was trying to say how the economy, everyone, and he's the one that mentioned it, everyone's in this state of flux. They don't know what the hell is going on, okay, and don't know what to do. And he goes, but when I see people, he goes, I know the economy's going to get bad when I see people come in selling family heirlooms or jewelry or valuable things that, he goes, they really don't want to sell but must sell because they have no money. He goes, that's an indication of when things are going to be terrible. And he goes, it's not good. Throw that in with, like I said, all this. We have more protests now. We have, and it's right, in our educational institutions. I guess graduation time. That's what's going on, commencements and that, and it's disrupting shit real bad. I mean, I think it was in Florida. If you've seen the scenes of that, that group of people stood there, and I mean, they tear gassed the piss out of them and closed in on them and arrested them all. I mean, this is a pretty confrontational. That's what I want to put, confrontational standoff. And then these people that just went in there and locked themselves into one of the school buildings, I mean, that is criminal activity. Okay, no matter how you look at it, that's no longer a peaceful demonstration or your First Amendment rights when you chain the door shut inside a public building or school or something and lock yourself in there and say, we ain't leaving. Yes, Sean, it is. Someone is doing this, and this is all done to destabilize things here in this country, even worse than they are. With inflation, with the economy, with the current administration or whoever the hell is running it, with all this stuff going on overseas, the war, the violence. Okay, now it's like one little tiny punch at a time. Now they're coming here to where we had this damn civil unrest and protests and everybody up in arms and everything else. And yes, this is all controlled by foreign powers or somebody who, what, where, it's almost impossible to identify. But this goes on everywhere in the world, not just here. Okay, this is a global thing. Close this damn thing. During rioted during, yeah. All right, Steve-O, good to see you. I see we got a few people here, not many. Of course, I didn't announce it. I guess people are waiting, want me to do this, and I just didn't have the time with a lot of things I was doing uh, to give everybody a heads up for the live broadcast. Yeah, but this is something that's wearing on my mind because it's just getting more and more difficult to just live your damn daily life without something creating that. And you can feel it with people around you. I mean, you can feel it in the air that something's amiss and everyone is really uptight. Number one, the inflation and the cost of everything is really starting to wear and hurt on people, hurt people. Okay. And you don't see it like everyone's been talking about it for months and months on end. And you don't really see it until over a period of time. Okay. Yes, everything costs more, but it takes a few months, 3, maybe 4, to where, you just like when you go buy gas, like every time I fill that truck up, it's $50, $55 or something, depending on how low I get. The grocery store, like my wife said, it used to be you go there, so much money was this. Now you're looking at almost $200 for the same thing. There's only two of us, and I was talking to a guy that I worked with. He's about 40 years old. He's got 2 children, a wife, and dog. Everybody's looking at him, and he's telling me, he goes, yeah, it's a big difference. He goes, just feeding everyone. And it does wear on you. It upsets you. Okay. How much of an impact has inflation affected you? Okay. Well, it would be me and my wife together. My wife's still working and that. And yeah, it hasn't affected it, you know, because it's just you have less money and you're normal. If you're on a fixed income when you're retired, okay, you got X amount of dollars every month. Okay, that's what I got. You know, and like I said, when it used to cost, 40, $45 to fill up the truck and go drive around, I run errands or go to the rifle range or some shit. Now, you know, every time you show up, it's 50 or more dollars to fill up the truck. So that's some money there. Um, I ain't buying many groceries or anything, but the inflation, see, I just park my ass. If I start running low on funds, I just kind of don't. I work around the house and do shit. Uh, I'm not really spending stuff. I don't have any children. I have to get things for and cover them going to school or something, And if at my age, if my children were adults, then it's the grandchildren you're keeping an eye on, okay, and making sure that if you could help them, you do, and that's where you see it. But really, it hasn't bothered me. I can't buy reloading equipment. Okay, I'm gonna tell you right there. That's what it is. Inflation, like I've complained, because I'm thinking everyday thing like managing the bills for the house, but in terms of my hobby, I can't reload stuff anymore. It's insane. That's how inflation has affected me. Uh, I'm looking at the price tags on some of these bottles of gunpowder, $130, $140 for an 8-pound keg. That's now 425, 435. And the one powder was kind of expensive. To get 8 pounds of accurate 5744 is over $500 if and when it ever comes back into stock again. It could be a year from now that some distributor will have it, and then it's going to cost me $600 maybe. Yes, happy Cinco de Mayo, Carter. Learn about patient rights in your living location. All right, Carson. Uh, yeah, that's where inflation has hit me. It's not a necessity. I'm talking more people. We're talking the inflation's hit them on, on necessities. You know, food, clothing, shelter, heat. Electricity, stuff like that. That's more important. But yes, and someone asked, it's true. I just can't really reload. So that's why I do some small reloading videos. I reload about 20 to 40 rounds, go out and fire it, and that's it. I'm no longer reloading like I used to do a run of 100 rounds and put it in a box, like 6.5 Carcano, or I think I still got that 100 round box. I loaded the 6.5 uh, Swedish, but I couldn't afford to do that. It cost me 3 times as much now uh, to load that. And so, like I was saying in that other thing, I bought 1,000 bullets for the 8x56 Austrian because they're in stock and they could go out of stock for years on end, and I'd never see them. And I got some 7mm bullets from PPU because there's a load I like to put in the Spanish guns in my single shot Remington rolling block. And I think I'm going to load some of them up because I processed all this 7mm Mauser brass I had laying around forever, mostly civilian brass, and polished it, sized it, washed it, sat. Now it's just sitting there, you know. And it's tough. There's Rodney. Okay, Steve-O, yes. Shooter's choice. No, I don't buy shooter's choice because there's a very generalized uh, description of this powder. This powder is not listed on any reloading manual that I know of, and I have nothing that tests it. You get this vague idea of what it is, and I believe it's a foreign made powder, which is a different consistency, much like ball powder. Uh, I'm not quite sure. I know that it is cheaper, and a lot of people do this, but Shooter's Choice does not fit my personal standards in reloading. I prefer, when I reload a rifle cartridge, IMR powder. I take a second choice, but 5744, I know this powder. I know exactly how it reacts, and I can guesstimate just about any of those old black powder cartridges and come up with a load from the top of my head because I understand how this powder reacts over time. Okay, I prefer it over anything at any cost for safety, performance, and that's just the way I am. Several people have suggested that powder. To me, I don't do it. Okay, it's simple as that. No, they act like the stuff we got to have. Let's charge a lot more than stuff we don't. XMPC, I don't even know what that powder is. Okay. And I'm not going to go and buy every damn powder out there to get. And again, are the results, what are you looking at? The cost per round? Or are you getting the results when you fire the weapon and the accuracy and that is there? Okay. If you're just blasting a bullet down, it hits a hunk of paper or something, um, okay, I mean, use whatever you want. Yes, personally, I I don't do it. When I find something that works for me and I like the results, I stick with it. If I can't afford it, I just don't do it. But yeah, it's getting tough. Had a couple things I've done. I figured out I got something with that super heavy bullet with the Kropatschek. I got some success, which made me happy. If you're a member, you'll see the load data and stuff, and you see the results. I'm gonna go out and bang some rounds out at 100, 200 yards to see. And I've also tried to adopt the bullet into the 8x50. What's your opinion with them trying to ban TikTok? Well, see, this is where I kind of get confused. I don't even look at TikTok. I've heard of it. I've seen a few things. There's somebody I know that makes a lot of these little TikTok videos. Hey, English Trooper, how are you doing? Um, I don't quite understand the bullshit. And it's kind of like, YouTube's kind of forced me into doing shorts. I don't like doing shorts. Okay, to me, it's brainless fucking dribble. Okay, and it reaches the mindset of an imbecile. Okay, to make a 15-second video about anything. It's like an LSD flashback. It's actually an LSD flashback lasts longer than a goddamn YouTube short. Okay, so, but I make a 60-second video talking about a bayonet, a pistol, or something, and I get 5,000 views in a week. I make an 8-minute video taking a detailed look at said gun or pistol, talking a little bit about the manufacturer, the history of it, and get a good look at the markings and everything and all that, not to get in depth into a 20-minute video, but an 8 to 10 minute video about the same thing, posted at the same time, connected to the short. 300 views in a month, or 2 or 3 months. So, TikTok, I don't understand it. I really don't follow it. And if they want to ban it, no difference to me. But I guess the reason YouTube did the shorts is the only thing I can say I understand is doing the shorts was YouTube's way to counteract, I guess, the popularity of TikTok or something like that. And, several of us creators and they were pushing it. And actually, I didn't have a modern enough phone to actually do it. You got to do everything off the damn phone. And I can't with my hands type shit on the smartphone. Okay, it's a nightmare for me, my disability. And but it raises my analytics up ungodly. And it helps the channel to have that huge amount of views. Okay, you're stuck, and actually it gets more and more difficult to you know come up with something in 60 seconds or 15 seconds. TikTok, okay. Thank you, Carson. Thanks. You've been a long time supporter. Thank you. But yeah, it's true. I mean, it's like another thing I wanted to explain. They come up with the M1 Grand Thumb, okay, which there is something called that, right? And all of a sudden, all these mill surplus experts start throwing their opinions out. And yes, the Garand, when you pull it back, it locks open. If you stick a loaded magazine in there, it will click and lock. And until you yank it back, it won't feed around. So if you push a clip into the rifle and everything's functioning, okay, it won't do that. And then after explaining this, one individual explains this. He shows the gun with the bolt pulled and locked back and empty. And then just says, well, if you're stupid enough to stick your finger or something in there until it trips the bolt hold open, then that's your own fault. And the whole thing when I watch this is the one thing when I bought an M1 Garand when I was 18 years old is my father see me walk in the house with it. My father couldn't stand guns, war, or anything, but he was in the Army in the mid 50s. And when you were in basic training, that's what the fuck they gave him. All right. So I come in with that rifle and he's sitting there watching the TV after he got home from work. And he goes, "Stop, stop, stop. Don't move. Come here. Bring me that rifle." He goes, "I ain't paying money to take you to the emergency room with broken fingers." So he takes the rifle, pulls it back, and I'll make a video showing you. My dad showed me how to take your hand, stick it into that gun, rock it over, trip it, and pull your hand out. Now, was this used in combat and warfare? No, it is not. Okay. My grandfather never mentioned that. He told me that when he stood guard duty when he was in Europe, he goes, at night, we'd pull the rifle back, we'd stick the clip in, have it open. And he goes, if something moved, what we did is you yanked it back and closed around, and then you start, halt, goes there, and then you start shooting. They're in a war zone. Never said nothing about the pinging noise. Never said nothing about grand thumb. Where that comes from is in peacetime, okay? When you're there, they would have you have the gun inspected. Okay, so if you were in the National Guard, the reserves, or in the Army like my dad was in the peacetime, when you went through all that crap, there was a thing where you pull up the port arms and you reach down, lock the uh, bolt back, and you would stand at port arms with it open like this or hold it somehow. I looked it up. I can't remember close order drill. And it would be for your weapon to be inspected. And you would stand there, and as the officer come down, he'd stop at every other one or whoever the hell, and he goes and looks down a barrel and looks inside the gun and all this other stuff. And there's a whole procedure of doing this. So you would present your arms for inspection, and then when he handed the gun back to you, okay, you were supposed to close the bolt. And for each different weapon, there's a different way of doing it. The Springfield 03A3, okay, that's why they kept magazine cutoffs on them. Because, you got to close the thing without sticking your finger in there like, with a Mauser. So there's different ways of doing it. Okay, and with the Garand, when you have it there, that's what my dad showed me how to take my hand, put it in there, and snap that bolt shut without getting your fingers caught. And that's where the grand thumb comes. If you don't follow that, if you try to do it, and I will demonstrate this in a video, that's where you get your thumb stuck in there. And yeah, it will fuck your thumb up bad if you get it jammed in there wrong. Okay, so I learned that. That's the one thing, the one military secret my father taught me with the M1 Garand, which he carried that to hell around in basic training. He got into the Signal Corps and became a supply sergeant in this huge repo depot because he worked in a drugstore when he was at high school, so he knew how to inventory stuff. And he worked for where they repaired radios and radar classified units, so he had this high ass clearance. And I know what he did. He had to go through these books. Like if you gave him a part number, he'd go through this reference library and find this damn 18, 20 digit number, and he'd look it up in the book. There were no computers in 1955 that did this shit. And then he'd go in this giant warehouse and go find whatever it was. And he had a specialized MOS. They could have called him back in the Army for 10 years after he was discharged or something. I was reading on his DD 214. His MOS was high priority or whatever. And when he got to Korea, he was bumped up to whatever spec, whatever they called him back then, about a corporal or something by then. And he told me when I was over there in Korea, when he's in that warehouse, because I never walked, goes, I drove a deuce and a half around. I had a truck. I had to wash it twice a week, but he goes, I never walked nowhere. And he gave him M2 carbine. It's his weapon of issue. And he said, yeah, he goes, I wasn't in the infantry. I didn't, after basic training, no more with the M1 Garand. All right. Morning, all listening from the laundromat. All right, Joe. Glad you can make it, Joe. Good to see you still hanging in here, buddy. Yeah, and I mean that's the thing. People don't get the context. Uh, because I think these video games and all this other horse shit, then the ping, with which yes, if you're at the range firing this gun, the Garand kicks that clip out, it makes a ping. But like somebody brought up, like my grandfather said, first of all, you really weren't shooting at the friggin' Germans 40 yards away. He goes, whenever we got close to a town or something, he goes, we'd be out there 300-400 yards, and then they'd start firing them 88 millimeter flat guns at you, and then just set the fuses to explode. Anti-aircraft shells explode, and he goes, that shrapnel would fly right through them fields and that. And so he said, very rarely are you that close to them? Okay, and he goes, you don't want to be that close to the enemy. Okay, gives you very few options. And he never mentioned the pinging. Of course, he carried a light machine gun. He didn't really fire a Garand that much. He said he did every now and again. He carried one, but he was on Browning 1919A6 machine gun, the light machine gun with his team. And I think he had an A gunner and ammo bearer, and might have been 4 guys. It was either 3 or 4 men. They were on that team. Because he was in a light weapons platoon. They had the mortar, bazooka, all that other weird shit. With I guess the way it was, you had 3 infantry platoons and you had the light weapons platoon, and how they deployed them. Which is, I forget. He told me all about it. But yeah, he goes, you don't really want to get that close. Because I asked him about a Thompson submachine. He goes, oh, that's a close range weapon. He goes, that's what them paratroopers in that use. Because he goes, they drop them guys right down on top of the Germans most of the time. He goes, that's what you need. But yeah, the Grand Thumb, and it was an old joke, like in Laverne and Shirley. That's when you were in basic training or reserves. Lenny Kognowski come in with his thumb all wrapped up, and it does happen because my own experiences in the military, the Navy is very basic. The only weapon that you will handle out in the fleet most times, if you're standing a watch, you have to carry a 1911. At the time, it was a 1911. Okay. We still had them back in the 80s, and that was the pistol. Was pump shotguns and M14 or whatever, but everybody was taught the pistol. When you went to basic, it was pretty weird. You went to a table, had dividers, and in a box was a 1911 with the slide lock back and a clip, one 7 or 8 round clip, 7-round clip. And what you were told to do is to pick the pistol, depress the slide release, which would send it home, take the magazine, stick it into the handle, push it up till it locked, pull the slide back until it locked, pull out the magazine, set it down, and set the pistol back in the box. That was the extent of weapons familiarization with me. That was it. That's all you had to do. And if you did that, they sent you on the way and off you went. Okay. So I go in there and do whatever it was. Take it out, put it back, put the gun back, and that's that. Step the hell away from the bench and go. And while I'm walking away, I'm looking. Somebody had the magazine upside down the wrong way, and the guy was going like this onto the table with the pistol. And that was the first time in my life I seen somebody handling an actual firearm, because these were actual firearms. Okay, there was no ammunition or nothing, but it was an actual gun. We actually picked up the actual gun and did it. You know, they wanted to see if you had the strength to do it. You know, now it's like, you know, I don't know, whatever. Simple thing. Okay, scared the hell out of me. Okay, then the next time was later on when I was on the ship in the fleet. They take us out. They took us to the Marine base because they love them guys, wherever the hell we're out there in California. And everybody's going to go and get qualified on a pistol. Just everyone. And what they did is they put a full size silhouette out at a certain distance, and then the gunner's mate guy comes with the pistols, and he's flinging the 1911s right on the sights, dropping them on a wooden bench. They just throw them out of a bucket. Okay, give you X amount. I forget what it was. You were to fire 35 rounds at a full size silhouette at a certain distance, wasn't it? And you had to get 32 hits just inside the body. If you went off and missed the shoulder, it didn't count. If you got 32 of them or something like that inside the silhouette, you were qualified. Of course, I get up there, I handle the gun, had to sober the hell up, this and that, and the sunlight and everything. And one of them, I went and hit somebody else's target, and they're yelling at everybody. I said, okay, everybody just calm. It was that chief, petty officer. Stop shooting at my target. I said, all right, whatever the fuck. So I ended up getting my 32 rounds in the thing and was certified. And the weird thing was, all of us, you know, because when I'm in engineering, my guard duty or what I did on my watches was monitor the equipment. So I was down there making sure, and this is both in port and out at sea. I would make sure the refrigeration's running, that the electrical generators, there's no problems. I'd check on them every hour, make sure the distillers were distilling fresh water. I had to go monitor all this machinery down in the engineering spaces. Really, I wasn't, the only time I went up above onto the main deck was I also had to check and see if there were different voids way the hell up in the front of the ship. That the only way you can do it is drop a tape measure with a weight and see if there's water down in these areas that there were no access to. I had to check them to make sure they weren't leaking at the very bottom of the ship. The only time I went up on a main deck to do something on my watch. So needless to say, on a very small ship, we did not need a pistol or carry a pistol in the engine room. So we never and they never took us up on the main deck. We weren't in deck department. That's not where we stood our watches. If it come to the point where they're issuing me a gun, things are bad. All right, so I never had to really use one, but I got it in my record that I'm not a threat to, I can shoot one and I qualify. Everybody that fucked up and didn't make it, or one kid started, he never fired a gun before. And I remember once we got done, the gunner's mates would come and pull us out. And I remember one of them come up, put his hand on my shoulder and said, look, be quiet. And I'm like, oh, here we go. I just concentrating on what I'm doing. Show me the weapon's clear, set the weapon down, and then step back very quietly and don't say anything, please. And what it was, there was this guy standing there. He had the loaded gun. He didn't even fire it. and he's standing there, and I never seen nothing like this before in my life. He's just shaking, sweat is pouring off of him, and he's like having this huge panic attack seizure type of thing. And I mean, now he's got a loaded pistol, he's got his finger on the trigger, and he just goes, and I'm like, oh, it's like in the movies. This is where someone dies. He stood there watch import all the time, wearing that pistol. And when it come to firing the pistol, he almost died of fright. I mean, he's a good guy. There's nothing wrong with him. I liked him. I was actually friends with him. But that's the first time I seen somebody hold a loaded firearm and totally friggin' lose it. Okay. Shooting at a piece of paper up against a hill of sand. It was the scariest thing in my life. He's the guy that's got to do this shit all the time. So that made me sleep well at night. But yeah, well, in Europe, getting back to that, yes, early 70s, the FNFAL is a decent, great gun. The M14 isn't too terrible, and that's what we were issued. But yeah, and they do a review of it and say, oh, it's not the greatest gun, didn't last long, and all this other stuff. And that's not true. If you take care of it, it's a good weapon. Yes, the Browning high power 9mm, we had 1911s. And we really didn't have submachine guns. That's a weird thing. Okay, the United States Army, I guess I heard they still found M3 grease guns that were in the tanks as part of their initial outfitting. They still had old M3 grease guns in the tanks all the way up until the Gulf War. But in the Navy, we never seen them, a submachine gun. We never had it, at least not where I was. I don't know if they do or what the SEALs. I think the SEALs can go buy anything they want, but just out in the fleet and that there were no submachine guns. There were the old Thompsons and that years ago on different ships, but once they got rid of the M1 Garands and said things that all went with it. Well, the 5.56, I talked to people that were given that rifle, and again, it was pressed in the service. They changed the ammunition. What Eugene Stoner developed and the ammunition he had made for it, the government, when they forced him and just about run his business into bankruptcy to sign over the damn patent rights to manufacture it, they changed the ammunition they're going to make, and they changed several other things, which I talked to a fellow that told me he was out there in Vietnam, and he said they took him out there, got him a brand new rifle and everything. In the first round, they fired, it tore the head of the case off and was stuck in the chamber. And so this guy, he was about 5'3". So he told him he ain't carrying the M16. So they said the only thing we can do is give you the M60 machine gun. And he said, I don't care. He goes, you're sending me out there. I don't care if it weighs 1,000 pounds. I'll take that over that piece of crap. And he said he had a tote, a light machine gun, which was in 120-degree heat. That just about kill you. But he did till he got his ticket back home. Lived to tell the tale. But yeah, 5.56 has never really been that good of a round. I've never had to use it in actual, in the military, in combat. Probably in the scenario, that's why they're so popular in the city here, shooting in my development. And, you know, it might be a halfway decent round. I'd still take the AK-47. Mark 48. Super Saw. That was the new machine gun. We still had M60s. Yeah, Bren gun. Well, what they did on our ship is they had two sets of the full auto. I overheard the gunner's mate chief. They had two sets of the knob and that because all the rifles were issued to us. They weren't selective fire. All that selective fire apparatus was removed. Okay, and they were semi-automatic. But the chief said they had two units to where they can convert them into selective fire, and I guess they were supposed to be used as BARs, uh, but they didn't have the heavy pistol grip stock with the bipod and shit on there. But we had, and he goes, okay, we have the option to make two full auto to use them as a lightweight BAR, like they're designed. But yeah, Mark 48, yeah, it's not an M60, it's that new gun. I seen them on my ship before they retired it. That's when they switched over. I guess they shit canned the M60 because that thing could assemble it backwards, which of course they did the day we took them out to. We had about 4 or 5 of them or something. They had a bunch of ammo. He used to piss the chief off, the gunner's mate chief, that after 20 years, whatever ammo you had, okay, once it hit the 20-year mark, you got to take it out and gets destroyed. It's no good anymore. So he goes, they used to give us, he goes, why do they always give us this damn ammo that doesn't have, less than a year or something? Well, the idea is that's what you use to burn it up. But the captain didn't like letting us have any type of fun, like firing the machine guns and burning up, you know, 3 or 4 cases of ammo. But he had to because the chief said, hey, we're out in a, and there is a zone. You go out there on the chart, and there is an area where we can shoot things. You ain't supposed to be out there fishing, so you don't catch a bullet or a 5-inch shell come smashing down into your boat. So we went to the designated range, and that's when he said, look, we just got to run this through the M60s and dump the shit. He goes, all right. So we had a day where we went out, fired the guns, and everybody was happy. But yeah, they still use the 248B, which is the same size as it. Carrying about the deck. All right, so you're in the Navy. We're still using the Vietnam. Did you have M79 grenade launchers? We had them. Those are always fun. Blue tubes. No, but that's still proud of my own field. Right. So that's about it. We ain't been doing too bad here. I think I might just run this one for an hour because every time I ask, hey, what would you guys like to talk about? This and that and everything else. And never do get any feedback except from dear old uh, Rod's Vintage Guns and Gab. He would like to talk about them Damascus barrel side by side shotguns. Forever. Love your lives. Be well. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if it's just on Sundays, we talk a little bit, and I'm a little tired. Weather's kind of nasty. Oh, a little under the weather, like I said, with everything going on, trying to organize stuff. I did get out. I get some loads tested, so I'm going to go out again, test some more, and then move on to the next cartridge uh, and get some things reloaded and just organized. Because, like they ask, how has inflation affected me? Uh, I really can't reload huge quantities of ammo. It's like whenever I did a pistol round, like a 9mm 380 or 9mm Mac, I would sit down for a few days and I would load 1,000 rounds of ammo. Just process the brass, take a carton of primer, prime them, and then I run it through my system. But not anymore. It's cheaper for me. Like 9mm, I went and bought a case of 9 because the 2, 3 of them I had testing all the pistols started to get. I just went and bought a case and set it aside. So whatever I got left over, I'll eventually fire through the course of summer. But I got a fresh case just in case the way everything is. All right, Carson, thank you. Gun show, 2 weeks. All right, Rod. Go there and knock them dead. 14 Enfields. They are a good gun. And it is a classic. Kind of clunky, but you can shoot them. They got a 10-round mag, which is a little bit of an advantage. And that's another thing. I never seen anybody load them with the stripper clips. I have some somewhere. I should do that. Get some ammo. Load them with the strippers. Do that little fast fire with the pinky. Used to fire when I was younger. I demonstrated to somebody. I loaded one of them things up. I mean, I emptied that rifle as fast as I can, and it was impressive. You know. Oh, how do you do that? Ha! Magic. Assholes. All right, so yeah, we got another video to make. I got to get out there. I got to see what I have in terms of ammo and all the other fun stuff. I had several of them, and you just, like I said, I had to really cut my gun collection down to almost nothing. Things are that bad. And I kept that one long branch because it's got a 4 or 6 groove barrel in it, whatever. It was a very odd gun, and I kept it. And when they were, a little over $100 a piece, I figured I always pick another one up. I mean, they're all over the place. There are a ton of them. That didn't work out too well. Here in the PNW. Oh yeah, I'm going to do a close up of the gun. I was working on something today talking about gun control and things like that. And I brought out the carbine and I have the Garand out too. I haven't fired that rifle in many years. And I bought a bunch of bullets to reload for it, and I never got around to it. The box is sitting there. I think it was like a 250 round box of full metal jacket bullets. But that is something to look into. And then, yeah, so there will be a close up of that because that one's a nice example. I got that out of an estate when I was a teenager. A fellow passed away quite young, And he bought that in the early 60s from the government. It was like brand new. My grandfather told me, I remember the ad. You could buy it brand new for 48 or $49, or I forget what the hell, or 35 bucks. My grandfather said that. They're brand new, still in a Cosmoline, never been issued. You could have got them. You could, and I guess he bought one from that gun magazine. And then when I was helping his widow, which she worked with my mother, I told her what the price of all the firearms were. I said, but I'd like to purchase that. And I said, honestly, the gun is worth this much. This is the full value. It's unusual, and I will pay you that. And I helped her liquidate all the stuff, and she got a fair price for it. And I gave her the 180, the money, and boom. So there you go. So let's see what else we got here. Random memory. One of my ships I was still on. Well, they used the M14s for shooting a line over during underway replenishment. So the M14s are still on board most ships. Okay. Um, yeah, they're still. I still see them firing the line over to get your underway replenishment refuel. So yeah, they're still there. They're still out in the fleet. There's only one or two. I think they told me on my ship they have two of them. All right, and we had a question from Carter Moray. Collective standing with the engage in business rule. Okay, that's what we had the topic on the last thing. I don't know. You listen to the videos on this, and if you look, like he said, it's 400 some damn pages of shit in there. Okay, what they're looking for is they're looking for people who, okay, now I know this because like I bought several really inexpensive handguns, okay, and I buy them from the same place because the best deal I get on them, okay, is at Sportsman's Warehouse. And the thing is, if they have them on sale or something, I can order them. They come to the store within a week or 2 weeks. They're right there, and if I like it, I've already paid for it with a credit card, so I just go check out, fill out the paperwork, check out, and I'm done. Okay. And I bought the Skies, and I bought some other inexpensive guns there. And what happens is when the ATF comes and does the audit, they'll come and do the audit like, I don't know, my one guy that does my transfers that works out of his house, it's like every 2, 3 months. So they come to audit him every 2, 3 months. And in 2, 3 month period, see they audit him more because he does that. Where Sportsman's Warehouse, that's why they will not have the transfers uh, done. They don't do any type of transfers. You can't have the shit sent to them. But what they'll look for is if they do come in and look and they see that I bought 10 Sky pistols over the past 2 or 3 months, that throws up a red flag. Okay. And they look for the little dealer, like if he sees I'm getting like, all these low end handguns or something, or a lot of times top of the line guns. Okay. If I'm buying a lot of 9mm pistols. And generally, when I buy the weird stuff, like a star or something that's not in production, something or collector's item, they kind of know that, and the ATF really don't screw with me. Okay. But if I bought, like this one guy, if I bought 10 Glock 17s in the past 2 months, this is, who buys 10 brand new Glock 17s unless you're arming somebody or you're marking them up and selling them against the law, okay, according to them, okay, all right. This is who they're looking for, and this is what they're looking for. Now, some states, like one guy, I guess he bought 3 handguns in a month or something, and they sent the ATF and the sheriff out there. They wanted to see the guns, okay? Because this is, even though they can't, and if you look at it online and YouTube, all the legal people tell you you can tell them just go, okay, unless they got a warrant, all right. Now, the guy they shot, like I said, he bought 19 Glocks in 2 months. He bought 7 AR-15s in that same period of time. And I mean, it was quite obvious he was buying weapons and just selling them without being a dealer. This is what aggravates the shit out of them because that's how the criminals get armed and create a problem. So they want to punish everybody for it. And how they're going to enforce this? Okay, like the gun shows. The one gun show I went to used to be whenever you went to a gun show, the parking lot would be full of people. And they'd be out there trying to sell you anything, guns, ammunition. I mean, when ammunition was high, they used to have little airport luggage carts and they'd wheel cases of ammo with a price tag on it around or whatever the hell. So what he did is he had the cops out there, and if you were outside, they run you off. Okay, you can't. They have the police there. If you're outside just holding on to a gun, selling it, that those days are done. No parking lot dealing. Okay, well actually, the largest gun show I used to go to, they've closed the venue down, but the smaller ones it's still around. Can't do no parking lot dealing. You're supposed to deal inside, and you're supposed to do a background check. Well, who the hell does that? I don't know. Okay. Now they're just making it to where you can't sell the guns at all. Okay. If I sell to anyone, the way it's worded, if they want to burn me, they're going to burn me. Okay. Whether it's legal, illegal, whatever the hell, I ain't supposed to be selling a gun unless I go through a dealer and get a background check on this jackass. Or, as my friend explained it to me, we go to him. I bring the gun, and on the new form it says, "Is this private sale?" I turn it over to my dealer, and he does all this paperwork, and then he will. And see, this is another thing our state did. It used to be you had to have a pistol purchasing permit or some wacky law. Now they've changed this. This was eliminated. So now, no matter what firearm you buy when you go, you must call in the background check. Okay. So the days of getting the police to do the background check and you having a certificate, that's gone. So you would have to go and have the background check done. And then that's what he would do is do the background. It's clear, then he can take the gun. Okay, see, this is where it's complicated. If he doesn't clear, the dealer can't give him the gun if he's denied. So that squishes the deal right there and then. So I guess you would have to wait, and then the dealer has to be paid, whether the background check goes in or not. So 20, 25, 30, some places $40. Okay. And if the guy don't come out clean or he don't get a response, he can't leave with the gun. So this just turns everything into a three-ring circus. How it's going to go right now, I'm not selling anything. This whole summer, I think I'm just going to lie back, check my inflation out, reload some ammo. I'm not going to buy, sell, trade any guns. I might buy some more silver, all these little knickknacks I'm getting, things like that. you know, that's what I'm going to do with my spare money until I see how the economy comes, whether it totally collapses or whatever. You know, I got enough rifle and pistol ammo to hold out as long as I think I could. Um, but, you know, I don't know. Nobody knows, and it's just like I said at the start of this. Nobody knows where we're going with anything, be it gun laws, be it the economy, be it just society falling the hell apart all at once. Okay. It's all like the guy said, we're all in limbo. Nobody knows. Uh, May 11th, blah, blah, blah. M14's in the army, number one, do, this trooping. Right. Call on, do. All right, Dan got here. Seeing a 470, number one Mark 1, that's cool. Number 4. Did some of those commemorative. Future looks very bleak to me. Yeah, well, you know, kind of that's what the hell we all got into. So, you know, basically, like I said, probably we'll keep going with the Sunday. You know, we got some guys come out, and like the fellas that do show up, they're the same guys that come all the time. I might as well sit and talk with you for a while. I have to go see a few other people. That's what I do on Sunday. I go down to the Veterans Post around 1, and then I stop over to another place on the way home and see how any of my retired buddies are floating around. And, you know, that's my big weekend out, you know. Getting too old for all this crap. Too old for the nonsense. But I'll make a short all about it. Get it all in the 15 seconds. You know, my thoughts. But yeah, so that's the way it looks, fellas. And I'll keep coming down. We'll have the lives, and everybody, you know, everybody gets to chat and everything, which is pretty nice. And we keep it nice, short, to the point. Not that many people. When I was getting a lot of people, a lot of technical questions and answers, a lot of trolls running loose and that, and the ATF or CIA or somebody was bringing up political stuff, and we were getting into these arguments, genocide or whatever the hell, and, you know, all this crazy crap. But no, I do enjoy it. But guys, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I got a few things to take care of. I'll try to come up with a better topic and try to give a post Wednesday so we're all prepared. Uh, there's a lot of good about it. Yes, Carson, thank you for that positive outlook. You're right. There is a lot of good that goes on. And there's a reason why all of us go about in our daily business because, you know, you have a reason to go on. Okay. Yes, that's right. Pancho Stevo. You know, it's true. This hobby, it's a shame. It was enjoyable. It was fun. You got to know a lot about history, keep track of all this stuff and that where people don't care. But yeah, it's turned into where you can't do anything. You know, like when they asked me about inflation, you know, I'm not. My wife more or less manages everything, and she tells me everything's good. It costs more, but if we watch what we're doing, it's good. And you know, I'm thinking the basic things, keeping the vehicle running, electricity on, paying all the bills. And, we're good. It costs us more, but I'm good. And I didn't even realize how did inflation hit me. And it's in my disposable income. Okay. Is where it got me. Okay. I mean, my basics are covered and I'm sitting on solid ground. I ain't worried about losing nothing. But it's just, I can't go out and have the extravagance of reloading. Like this last thing I did, I bought $140 bullet molds. Had to buy some powder. The last one I bought was 400 and some bucks for 8 pounds. Can't be doing that for a while. So I just take my time, make some loads, make the videos, go on. So yeah, there's something to look forward to. There's something to do. As long as you keep busy, you keep a positive attitude. And I thank you, gentlemen, for putting the forward-looking compliments in there. It'll all work out in the end. You know, it'll all work out in the end for all of us. All right. Yeah. And Rodney, keep working with them politicians. I seen the photos, man. Go there, new prime minister. Become his chauffeur or his bodyguard. You'd be That'd be a thing. All right, guys. These ads. I hate these ads. All right, gentlemen. Thank you, and I will see you all next Sunday. Okay. Take it easy. Take care.